everybody. This video is all about the slope of a line. Now, slope is a measure of steepness. Over here on the right hand side of the screen, I've went ahead and written down the formula for slope. Slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Normally I abbreviate this and just say that the slope is y minus y over x minus x. The 1 and the 2, that's just how you name points, and it's not a big deal so long as you're consistent. So, in this problem, if I want to find the slope of the line, that is the steepness of the line that contains these 2 points, I subtract, let's see, y minus y, and again, this order doesn't matter. So if I write 1 minus 7, the only thing that's important is when I do x minus x, well, since I started with the 1, I need to start with the negative 18. So 1 minus 7 over negative 18 minus 10. And now we just have an arithmetic problem. So 1 minus 7, that's negative 6. Negative 18 minus 10, that's negative 28. And now reduce your fraction. So negative divided by negative is positive, and it looks like the greatest common factor between these two numbers is a 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 28 divided by 2 is 14. So the slope of this line is 3 over 14. So pause the video if you want to look at that. What's much more interesting about slope is what you do when you're looking at a graph. So here we have 2 points connected to form a line, and we want to find the slope. Now what you could do, if you really wanted to, is you could write down the coordinates of this point, which looks like negative 1, 4, and the coordinates of this point, which looks like 1, 2, 3, negative 4, negative 1, and do just what we did in the previous problem. However, it's much faster and much more convenient, and it also illustrates what slope is if you look at, instead of saying y minus y over x minus x, to say that the slope is the change in y over the change in x. Most textbooks and most presentations that you see of slope will abbreviate this to the phrase rise over run. I prefer to be a little more specific and say change in y over change in x. So how is your y variable changing? How is the x variable changing? And what slope is the ratio between those two. So in order to see that, we can draw a right triangle between these 2 points, and then you count from one of the points to the other. So the change in the x variable, you can simply count the squares, is 3, and then the change in the y variable is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that the slope of the line is the change in y over the change in x, or 5/3. And that's a lot faster than writing down the coordinates of the points and using the slope formula. Again, pause the video if you want to look at the diagram for a moment. And we're going to do one more example of this. Let me erase the markings here. So we'll do exactly the same thing to find the slope of this line. We'll just calculate the change in y and the change in x. So if I draw a right triangle, and I could actually start at either one of the points, it doesn't matter. Just remember, when you're going down, we're going to count that as negative, and we're going to the right, we're going to count that as positive. So the change in my y variable isn't 2, it's negative 2. And now I'm here, and I count the change in the x variable. Well, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to the right, so that's positive. That means the slope of my line is negative 2 over 8. Always reduce your fractions. So the slope of the line is negative 1/4. Anyway, that's the basics of slope. Hope that helped.